second question that was asked from Lokpal was based upon the nomination of any person as a member of Rajya Sabha. Because the former Chief Justice was nominated as a member of Rajya Sabha, so a candidate asked that whether members of Lokpal can be nominated as the members of Rajya Sabha. So the answer to this is that they may not be nominated because it is specifically provided in the Act that they cannot hold any government and constitutional post. There is no such limitation on the Supreme Court judges. Therefore, the judges could be nominated, but the member of Lokpal cannot be nominated. However, if any such practical case comes into the picture, so we can go into the practical implementation of that. So I hope from the previous class I have answered your questions. And also, if you have a question and you want that question to be answered, rather than writing that my questions are not being answered, repeat that question so that I can go through that question. Because there are some comments I have read 4 or 5 times that my questions are not being answered, but I was not able to find the question. So please question आप repeat करें rather than your grievance. Okay? So before beginning, if you have any other question, I am just taking questions. Otherwise, we'll begin with today's lecture. In the first class, we discussed reservation of economically weaker section, Northeast Autonomous Council, and the sedition law and Lokpal and Lokayuk. Now, we will begin with today's lecture. So today we will be dealing with these topics. First is right to internet access. Second, right to marry. Third, Sabrimala temple verdict. Fourth is doctrine of adverse possession. Then Citizenship Amendment Act. And if time is left, then we will be dealing with NRC in Assam today. Otherwise, we have to shift it to the next class. Now, before beginning to the right to internet access, I have a question for you. According to Supreme Court, right to internet access is a fundamental right under which of the article of the Constitution? Option A, Article 14. Option B, Article 19. Option C, Article 21. Option D, it's not a fundamental right. So give your answers and you will also know whether you know this or not, and then we'll proceed with this topic. So give your answers fast. If you are not able to read it, it means you are watching it on your phone. So rather than having your phone on portrait mode, try to use the landscape mode. Then you can view it properly. No one is able to answer this question. Is it that difficult? Are you aware about internet? What internet is? आपने शायद यूज किया हो इंटरनेट क्या होता है? So most of you are saying it is Article 21 and some are saying it is Article 19. So the confusion is between these two articles only. उसके अलावा तो किसी और को नहीं लगता है कोई और article answer हो सकता है. So the confusion is between these two only. So let us see what the answer to this question is. So I'll discuss the topic, then I'll provide you the answer to this question. Now, why right to internet access was in news? Why it was in news? So recently, the Honorable Supreme Court on 10th of January 2020 has established that right to internet is a fundamental right. So option D is totally ignored, that it is not a fundamental right. Yes, it is a fundamental right now. So if you have a right to internet access and you are not getting it, you may approach the Supreme Court directly. I am using the word may. So do not go to the Supreme Court directly. Because the word may means there has to be certain restrictions. At the same time, in the Fahima Shireen versus State of Kerala, the Kerala High Court declared right to internet access as a fundamental right. It means before Supreme Court, the High Court of Kerala also declared it as a fundamental right. That means the Supreme Court judgment came as a superseding judgment to the High Court. Now, why such a judgment was made? Why the case went to Supreme Court? We need to understand that. So the Supreme Court declared it a fundamental right, and the Supreme Court established that the government cannot deprive the citizens of its fundamental rights except certain conditions explicitly mentioned in the Constitution. Now, we all must be aware that there are certain restrictions mentioned in the fundamental rights itself, and that is why when we read that the fundamental rights are not absolute. We read that they are qualified rights. So the Supreme Court also established that there has to be only reasonable restrictions. Now, this case came in the light of the internet lockdown in Jammu and Kashmir since August 5, 2019, when the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act was introduced in the Parliament. So, in the view of this issue, the Supreme Court took this case on the basis of a petition. In this, the Supreme Court established that right to internet access is a fundamental right under Article 19(1)(a). So, it is a fundamental right under 19(1)(a). So, the answer to this question is Article 19. Now, at the same time, Supreme Court established a doctrine that this right can only be reduced, or this right can only be made limited if the principles of proportionality are used under this law. It means if you need to limit these rights, the principle of proportionality need to be used. Otherwise, the Supreme Court may be approached regarding the proportionality of the limitation. I hope till now it is clear to you. And we are moving very slowly today because I believe that it is online classes are very new to you. So you may not catch up the way you used to catch up in the offline classes. Now, the suspension of internet can be on the basis of 3 laws. First is IT Act 2000. So if anything has to be done in the cyberspace, for that in the year 2000, the government or the Parliament enacted IT Act 2000, on the basis of which there can be restrictions and there can be limitations on the use of the cyberspace. At the same time, the limitations can be put under the Criminal Procedure Code, CRPC 1973. You must be aware about Section 144, Dhara 144, Section 144. It is the Section 144 only in the CRPC where the internet can be suspended, and also under the Telegraph Act 1885, under which the internet services can be suspended. So there can also be a question that the government can suspend internet services. So I hope there is no doubt in the right to internet access. If you are aware about this question, then the answer is very, very clear that it is Article 19, which has made right to internet access as a fundamental right. There is confusion because in the state of Kerala, Fahima Shireen, in the state of Kerala, the High Court read right to internet access as an interpretation of Article 21. However, when the Kerala High Court provided this judgment, the Kerala High Court used it not to interpret right to internet access, rather it used to interpret it under the right to privacy. So Article 21 was used as the article for right to privacy, in the light of which internet access was provided as a basic right. Now, if you are aware of this, then we'll take another question regarding the internet access or regarding the rights. Now, try to answer this question. This is a very important question. It includes basics. Which of the fundamental rights are available only to citizens? Article 14, 15, 16, 19, 21A, 29, 30. Right to equality, 14, 15, 16. Right to freedom, 19 and 21A. Right to cultural and educational or cultural education rights under 29 and 30. Read the options and try to answer this question. most of you are giving the answer as C. Now letter C, that is the option is C. So Article 14, is it available to citizens? No, it is available to all. So option A and B are totally gone. Now just there is a difference between C and D is regarding the option 5. That is the Article 21A. So Article 21A is available to all. It is not only available to citizens, rather it is available to all, which is the right to education. So anyone who is in India, in the geographical territory of India, has the right to free and compulsory education for the in between the age of 6 to 14 years. Okay? Now, some of you are asking what is Telegraph Act, what is CRPC, and what is ITR. We are only dealing with fundamental rights right now. We are not dealing with the Excel legislation. If it is important for this year, I will be explaining it to you. Otherwise, just know the name. You do not need to know each and everything. You just need to clear your examination. We are not here to gain knowledge everything that is there in polity. We are only to identify the questions that can come from polity. I hope there is no doubt. Then only we'll move to next topic. If there is any doubt, please post your queries. Otherwise, we'll be moving. And question is just asking which of the following rights are available to citizens. Remember it that Article 15, 16, 19, 29, 30. The way you remember phone numbers of your near and dear ones, similar way remember these 5 articles which are available only to citizens. For 15, 16, 19, 29, 30. These are the 5 articles that is only provided to the citizens. Okay? Now we'll begin with right to marry. It is very, very important. Most of you are preparing for civil services. Just a second. Yes. Now we'll be dealing with right to marry. Most of you are preparing for civil services because you want to have a lucrative life for you and your family members, and some of you having this in mind, पूरा के मेरा प्यार इंतकाम देखेगी. So उसके लिए right to marry is very, very important. So right to marry. Now why it is in news? This question came in 2019 paper that right to marry is under which of the fundamental rights. So again it is important because Madras High Court, the Madurai bench of Madras High Court has provided the right to marry as a fundamental right to the trans person. The people who are transgenders, who identify themselves not as a male or a female, rather who identify themselves as the part of third gender, those people are also having right to marry under the fundamental rights. Now, this was in the light of a case where a man and a trans woman wanted to marry in Tamil Nadu, and their marriage was declared as legitimate under the Section 5 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. So, in right to marry, you just need to know this much, not more than that. If someone is asking that whether it is acceptable under the Hindu Marriage Act 1955, so the answer to this is yes. The court, Madras High Court, has accepted as a part of the Hindu marriage. Now, from this topic, another important question is, right to marry is under which article of the Indian Constitution? Now, yesterday only there was a news, a boy from Rohtak, he married a woman who is not an Indian citizen. So, this shows that we are totally updated with our current affairs, and also quality we do not have any pictures to show. So, that I found it as relevant as per the question, so I am giving it to you. So, answer this question. Right to marry is under which article of Indian Constitution? This picture gives you a hint regarding the answer. Post your answers. Now someone is saying that why not right to access is under Article 21? Because Supreme Court has specifically mentioned it is under Article 19, and Supreme Court is the apex court of our country. So if any High Court has given something, if Supreme Court has given a judgment within that ambit, then the Supreme Court's judgment will be valid. Now, all of you has given the answer correct, that is Article 21. But why? Why not Article 19? We are not discussing here that it is Article 21 because it is a previous year question. You all know. My purpose is to discuss why Article 19 is not the correct answer. That is our purpose, because we have to identify which question can come this way. So, anyone who can post it? I am moving a little slow because today we will be discussing very important topics, so I do not want to burden you initially. Taki last time you have certain capacity to understand what we will be discussing. Now no one is posting why Article 19 is not the answer, and that is what we need to understand. So Article 19 is not the answer because see, in this image, Indian citizen, a foreign citizen. An Indian citizen is marrying to a foreign citizen. If a citizen wants to marry, that is also a fundamental right. If a non-citizen or an alien wants to marry, that is also a fundamental right. And Article 19 is only available to the citizens of it. That is why Article 19 is not the answer to it. Is it clear? So whenever you are confused, try to identify whether that right is available for citizens or for all. Now, let us go back to the internet access. It is the responsibility of the government only to provide internet to the citizens of it. It is not the responsibility of the people to provide the internet to everyone who is coming to this country. For example, if a foreigner visits India, if they buy an internet connection, if they want to use internet, they can purchase their own. It's not the responsibility of the government of India. But if you are a citizen, it is the responsibility of government of India that you have proper internet access. I hope this question we have discussed and you do not have any right. If you have any right from this topic, we'll be discussing later on, and we are moving to the Sabrimala declaration. Now, why it was in news? This is very important, and here you can see the number of devotees who are going to the Sabrimala temple. It means it is very famous temple of Lord Ayyappa. It is a very famous temple. From the geography point of view, you need to identify on which hill Sabrimala temple is located, what is the geographical location. In art and culture, you need to identify the historical background. Here we are only discussing the political background of Sabrimala temple verdict. Now it was in news because Supreme Court recently deferred the previous verdict that was given in the year 2018 regarding the opening up of temple for women who are in their reproductive age. Recently, the Supreme Court deferred that case and they referred this case to a larger bench. The 5-bench case of 2018 is now referred to a 7-judge bench in the year 2020. And now they are identifying the essentiality of religious practices and constitutional morality. So now the case of Sabrimala, which was earlier a case of gender justice, now it is dealing with 2 cases. One is the essentiality of religious practice and other is the constitutional morality. That makes this very, very important. Now, we need to understand what was the judgment of this bench and what all questions they are trying to identify. So they are trying to identify that which is more important. Article 14, right to equality, or Article 25 and Article 26, which are the right to freedom of religion. They need to identify the interplay between these 2 rights. They need to identify what is morality. If you remember in Article 25, it is a restriction that public order, health and morality can restrict the right to freedom of religion. So the case will be identifying what do we mean by morality. This is also they will identify that morality, whether this will be the constitutional morality or that will be the morality of the society. The constitutional morality, if they need to identify, whether that morality is to be identified from the preamble, whether that morality is to identify by the fundamental rights or any other article, that is also to be identified. They want to identify what religious practices are essential, what religious practices are non-essential. Very simple thing. If you are told to light candles, if you are told to light diyas, क्या crackers jalana jaruri hai? Because this year we celebrated Diwali in April. So if we are told to use diyas, is it essential to burst crackers also? So I'm just giving it on to explain it to you that essentiality and non-essential practices also to be identified. It is also to be identified that the term, the section of Hindus that is used in Article 25, which section of Hindus are they talking about? It means if that section of Hindus they are talking about, are they talking about the section of Hindus on the basis of their caste, on the basis of their gender, or on the basis of their any other status? At the same time, they are also trying to identify that if a PIL is to be filed, whether that PIL should be filed only by a person following the same religious faith or it can be filed by any other person. It means if a person who is following Christianity, if that person wants to question anything that is there in the Sikh religion or in Islam or in Hinduism, can that person question that faith in the Supreme Court? So that is also to be identified with this bench. I hope this has become simple for you till now. Now we'll discuss what was the verdict. So in the year 2018, the Indian Young Lawyers Association and others, they filed a petition in the Supreme Court where a 5-judge bench with majority. This 4:1 means 4 judges were in the favor of the judgment and 1 judge gave a dissenting opinion. So with the majority of 4:1, they set aside the decade-old restrictions on the entry of women of reproductive age in the Sabrimala temple. Reproductive age means the women who are having their menstrual cycle from their teenage till the age they have reached their menopause, that is considered as the reproductive age. And now the Supreme Court, now means in the 2018 verdict, the Supreme Court set aside the restriction and it allowed women of all the ages to enter into the Sabrimala temple. This was the verdict in the 2018. This judgment was given in the light of the violation of Article 17, that is the banning or prohibition of untouchability. Though it was there in the Article 14 also, in the Article 21 also, in the Article 25 also. However, the court particularly identified it under Article 17. And there is a reason behind this. Because if you have read your basic polity, Article 17 is an absolute right. So this right does not have reasonable restrictions. And that is why the courts specifically choose this right so that the limitations should not be brought back again. And that is why the Supreme Court in 2020, rather than changing this verdict, it referred it to a larger bench. Now the question comes, what the larger bench is identifying. So the case is about gender justice and the faith. And there are not only issues within one religion, rather there are certain restrictions in different faiths that we have in our country, and that is why the Supreme Court, through its larger bench, will be dealing with combined issues, amongst which one is the opening of main doors of mosques for women, so that they have the Islamic right to visual and auditory access of the musalla, that is the main area. So they are combining the Sabrimala issue with the entry of women in the mosque. They are combining the issue of the female genital mutilation. There is a problem of not a problem, a practice of female genital mutilation in a community that is called as Daudi Bohra community. That community, they practice female genital mutilation or female circumcision or khaf. They practice it, and that is also being questioned in the courts as a type of gender harassment or gender justice by the lawyers. Another case is also combined of the Parsi faith. In the Parsi faith, if a woman, she marries outside her faith, it means if the woman has a husband who is a non-Parsi, then that women do not have the rights as per the Parsi faith. And the case came when a Parsi woman who married a man who was a non-Parsi, she was denied entry into the Tower of Silence after the death of her father. So that is also raising an issue of gender justice. Now the term Tower of Silence is here. So UPSC might also ask, Tower of Silence is related to which faith? So you need to also identify this. Now, if you have any doubt till now, you can ask your questions. Because this question has come again and again, what is the principle of proportionality? So principle of proportionality, I am explaining it to you with an example. Like if a person is caught or if a person is arrested for stealing a pen and that person is given death sentence, is it proportional to the crime? And if a person is caught for stealing, let us say, ऐसा कभी हुआ नहीं है, this has never happened in our country, but if a person has stolen money from a public sector bank and ran away to a different country, if that person is to be given a sentence, can that person be given a jail term of 5 days? Is it proportional? Do you consider it as proportional? Is this the slide you all were talking about? So while I explain, you can look at this slide. Now, this is proportionality. That the crime or something that is to be limited, in proportion. It should not be exorbitant and it should not be unreasonable. For something which is provided, the punishment has to be according to that also. And that is the principle of proportionality. So the court has established that if there has to be certain restrictions, then that restriction has to be on the basis of proportion. It means if the internet is to be restricted, then if you want to restrict it, you can restrict only social media and allow the government websites to open. That is proportionality. Or if you want to restrict internet, then you can restrict 4G to 2G, or you can restrict 4G to 3G. That is also proportionality. Okay? Honor killing comes under fundamental right violation or not. Honor killing is unconstitutional. Honor killing, firstly, it is murder. It is cold-blooded murder. It is unconstitutional. So it does not come under any right. It is unconstitutional. So many of you are asking female genital mutilation. Female genital mutilation, it is a biological term. For example, in males, in some phase, in males, there is a circumcision. So similarly, that practice, if it is followed in females, then that is called as female circumcision. If the circumcision deals with mutilating, it means defecting, it means doing something, or if they want to, let us say, if they want to mutilation, it means they want to destroy some part of the genitals of female, that will be called as female genital mutilation. And if you want to know something more, then you can always search internet for that, because this is a term of biology. So I won't be the right person to explain that to you in detail. Female genital mutilation in Dawoodi Bohra community in it. Okay, so from the rights we have discussed the questions. So I hope rights portion is complete. Now there are certain doctrines that were in use. So we will be discussing those doctrines. One doctrine of essentiality I was talking about. We'll be discussing doctrine of essentiality. We'll be discussing the constitutional morality. We'll be discussing the doctrine of adverse possession. We'll be discussing the doctrine of progressive realization of rights. So we'll be discussing all these four doctrines. Now let us first start with doctrine of essentiality. Now this doctrine of essentiality was invented by a 7-judge bench of Supreme Court in the Shirur Mutt case in 1954. In the Shirur Mutt case of 1954, the court held that the term religion will cover all rituals and practices integral to a religion. Means there are certain practices which are integral to a religion. So the term religion includes those practices and rituals also. And it also took itself the responsibility of determining the essential and non-essential practices of a religion. It means before this case in 1954, who was to decide the essentiality term in the constitution was not clear. After this case in 1954, it became clear that the Supreme Court has the responsibility to interpret that the essential practices and the non-essential practices are to be allowed or not to be allowed. However, the essential practices are always allowed, and that is why the court took upon this responsibility. The court uses the Essential Religious Practice Act and made it a contentious doctrine which evolved or which allowed the court to allow such religious practices which are only essential and integral to the religion. For example, if a religious faith practices human sacrifice, then the court will declare, and court has also declared, such a practice as a non-essential practice. Because in the light of no religion, human sacrifice can be allowed. Because in our country, everyone is having right to life or personal liberty. And that is why the non-essential practices can always be limited. So this is why the doctrine of essentiality becomes important. And you all know in the Sabrimala verdict, the word doctrine of essentiality was used. Now the another doctrine is constitutional morality. Now we all know that morality is a very subjective term. Morality is very subjective. It means something which is moral for me may not be moral for you, and something which is moral for you may not be moral for me. So we need to identify a morality that is applicable for all. That means we cannot have a morality that is very subjective. So for that there has to be an evolution of constitutional morality on the basis of which the ideas of the constitution are to be accepted. So a very clear thing that we can understand is constitutional morality not only accepts the constitution in letter, but it also accepts the constitution in spirit. So the constitutional essence is acceptable in constitutional morality. And it is important because in the May 2019 examination, they have asked about this question on constitutional morality, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was also in favor of understanding the morality of constitution rather than only understanding the letter of the constitution. Now, if we go into the verbatim understanding, it is constitutional morality which provides a principled understanding for unfolding the work of governance. As I have explained, principle understanding. It means governance, why we have to do it. We know that we have to do the governance, but why? For example, right now during the lockdown, is it moral to use force to keep people inside? Is it moral to hit someone to stop someone from going outside? So that is a question of morality. So there has to be principled understanding. It means the principled understanding is this, that if you are following the rules, you are safe and secure, and it is only the matter of last resort, when the violence will be used. So this is the work of governance. It specifies norms for institutions to survive and an expectation of behavior that will meet not just the text but the soul of the constitution. It means I expected behavior by the government that is not only meeting the ideas of the constitution in letter but also the ideas of the constitution in spirit. And it also makes the institutions accountable and representable. So that is what the constitutional morality is all about. Now, constitutional morality has been used to have emancipatory effect in past cases. It means when the Supreme Court has to take a wide understanding of the Constitution, they have n number of times used the doctrine of constitutional morality. One of the latest example of the use of constitutional morality is decriminalization of homosexuality, that most of us understand as the decriminalization of Section 377, as we also understand it as the decriminalization of the LGBT communities. So this is the idea of constitutional morality. Now it differs from individual to individual. Some of the group might consider homosexuality as unacceptable. Some groups consider it as acceptable. Now we cannot have a same yardstick to identify whether it should be there in the country or not. So for that, the courts established the constitutional morality and they accepted that homosexuality is a personal choice and it should not be criminalized. The courts are not saying that it should be acceptable or it should be provided as a type of orientation. They are just saying that it is not a criminal offense if a person is having a homosexual orientation. This is what the constitution morality is. I hope you have understood these two doctrines. I am taking questions from these two doctrines because they are very, very important. Then we move forward to other doctrines. Animal sacrifice is not under essential practice. Animal sacrifice, if in future is questioned for some religions, then it can also be banned by the courts. So it depends upon the interpretation of the courts. Those who are confused कि Supreme Court के पास क्या power है? So Supreme Court has the power of interpretation of the Constitution. So when we sometimes use as the power of the idea of Constitution, it means the idea of the Constitution is always interpreted by the Supreme Court. Can LGBT marry each other? अगर आपको याद हो, हमने बहुत साल पहले राइट टू मैरी पढ़ा था, है ना? बहुत साल पहले भी रेड राइट टू मैरी, तो उसमें अभी just I told you that it is a fundamental right. There is no article 377. There is section 377. There is section 377 of IPC 1860. Okay. Now we'll continue with other doctrines. Now, other doctrine is doctrine of adverse possession. Now, it was in news where a person's property was taken in the year 1967 by the Himachal Pradesh government. That person's property was taken by Himachal Pradesh government, and that property was not provided with the adequate compensation to the owner. And in that case, the person went to the Supreme Court. In that, the Supreme Court used the doctrine of adverse possession because in the year 1978, right to property was declared not as a fundamental right by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. Right to property was removed from the definition of fundamental right and it was put under Article 300A. And that is why the Himachal Pradesh government was saying that it is not a fundamental right and a person cannot go to the Supreme Court. In that, the Supreme Court provided two relief to the petitioner. First, they said that the case is of 1967 and that is why in a retrospective manner, a person can go to the Supreme Court always because in the year 1967, right to property was a fundamental right and it was only taken away as a fundamental right in the year 1978. Second thing, the Supreme Court provides that the state, even if it wants to acquire certain land, the state cannot acquire that adversely, which is causing negative repercussions on the landholder. So any acquiring of the land should only be in such a manner that the owner of the land is not having any negative repercussion. That is the doctrine of adverse possession. Now, another very important question that you may answer. Which doctrine was established by the Supreme Court in the judgment which decriminalized homosexuality? Which doctrine was established by the Supreme Court in the judgment which decriminalized homosexuality? First, the doctrine of essentiality. Second, the constitutional morality. Third, doctrine of adverse possession. Fourth, doctrine of progressive realization of rights. Please give your answers. Yes, right to marry apply to LGBT also. LGBT are legally recognized in India. Do not get confused. When it is decriminalized, it means they are now recognized. Now, so all of you are giving answer B. All of you are giving answer B. But the answer is not B. Okay? So, answer to this question is D. The doctrine of progressive realization of rights. Read the question again. UPSC is not a cakewalk. You all must be thinking that we have read books one or twice and we'll be clear this examination. But remember, it is the toughest examination in the country and it is the examination which needs dedication. Again, you are typing that answer is B. I have already given the answer. The answer is D. The doctrine of progressive realization of rights. Now, question says, which of the following doctrine was established? Which of the following doctrine was established by the Supreme Court? Now, when we are discussing the right to the doctrine of constitutional morality, I am saying the constitutional morality is used. It is not established. And the homosexuality was decriminalized very recently. In the last 2 years, it was decriminalized, and that is why the constitutional morality was way before that. It was only established, or the new doctrine was established by the court, which is called as doctrine of progressive realization of rights. I'm repeating it again, the doctrine of progressive realization of rights. Okay. So what is progressive realization of rights? The answer is D. Agar you always type answer B 12, 20 times, 200 times, the answer will not change. The answer is D. Okay, because they are asked which doctrine was established. Now I am explaining what is progressive realization of rights. If you are getting a right, the courts are providing now that if the right is provided to you, it cannot be taken back. Earlier, the Delhi High Court, it decriminalized homosexuality. Then it was again criminalized by Supreme Court. Then again it decriminalized by the Supreme Court. Recently in the Nafte's Jogar case. Now there was a confusion. Hai, nahi hai, hai. So Supreme Court has now established this doctrine that if you have a right, this right cannot be taken back in future. It can only be elaborated. It cannot be reduced or narrowed down. Whatever advantages the court has provided to you, that will be there with you. In future, if the court or government wants to provide some rights, it should be more than that. It should not be less than that. That is the progressive realization of rights. It means your rights will be recognized progressively. They cannot be regressive in future. If you have today right to education till the age of 14, tomorrow your right cannot be reduced to age of 10. It can be made to the age of 18, but not 10. That is the meaning of progressive realization of rights. I hope you have understood what is this doctrine all about. No, these doctrines are not mentioned in the constitution. Doctrines are something which are used and they are accepted as the convention. These things happen. They are not written anywhere, but we accept it as a part of convention, that this is something which is to be followed. It's very simple, that it is not written anywhere that we will be bursting crackers on Diwali, but we use it as a convention. It is not written anywhere that you will be giving gifts on Valentine's Day, but you all give. Why? Because I'm sorry for those who do not have anyone to give gifts on Valentine's Day, but it was just an example, so koi bura nahi manega. So if it is accepted and people follow it, that means it is a doctrine. So doctrines are nowhere written. So the answer to this question is D, doctrine of progressive realization of rights. Now, I hope you do not have any doubts in rights, and we have discussed rights in detail. The questions which are expected from rights are these much only, because UPSC from rights do not ask the questions under the current issues, rather they ask the questions from rights through the fundamental rights if they are in current issues. Now I am giving a very good question. I am giving a question that right to property at present is which right? Legal right, constitutional right, fundamental right, not a right. Legal right, constitutional right, fundamental right, not a right. Right property. I have received only one answer, legal right. Legal right. Some are saying constitutional right. Not a right, legal right, constitutional right. No one for fundamental right. Why are you leaving fundamental right? Fundamental right might feel bad. So the answer to this is constitutional right. Most of the book says it is a legal right, but it is not correct that, or it is not always right that the books will be giving you the right answer. It is constitutional right. Now someone who are giving me this emoticon, just remember that it is 300A. When something has an article for it, it is in the constitution, it has an article for it. So why not it is a constitutional right? What is the doubt about it? 300A. It's very simple. Constitutional right. Remember it. Do not get confused because it will be very easy. And those who have not completed their polity, do not worry. I am telling you the basics. And those who are not giving examination this year, do not think the UPSC asks current affairs only for 1 year. UPSC is the unpredictable service commission. You must have heard this term. And that is why UPSC can ask current affairs from any year. Because in the syllabus, only it is written important national and international events. And events can happen anytime. For example, there was an event in the year 2016 that was demonetization. So that is an event. So UPSC has all the right to ask questions from demonetization. Or agar you do not read it, then your situation will be like that boy who was standing in front of ATM and who explained his plight to the reporter. So उन्होंने पूछा था आप लाइन में खड़े हो. So remember that read it for the times to come. Whenever you have started your preparation, from that date itself, current affairs are very, very important. Okay? Voting is a constitutional right. UPSC has given it in its answer key. It is a constitutional right. Okay? So right to property, constitutional right, Article 300A. Voting is a constitutional right under Article 324. It is what? Given by the fundamental, this is given by the UPSC in its answer key. Now you are asking a genuine question. What is the difference between legal and constitutional right? You ask me questions, I'll give you the answers. Legal right, which are not given in the constitution, but they are provided through a law. That is a statutory law. That is an act. For example, right to information. Right to information is not mentioned in the constitution. Right to information is through an act. RTI Act 2005. So that is a fundamental, that is a legal right. Similarly, right to property is mentioned under Article 300A. So it is a constitutional right. So I hope if in Lakshmikant it is given as legal right, go back to your home or wherever you are, go back to Lakshmikant and cut it and write constitution. Okay? Now we are continuing. Definite constitutional fundamental rights. The rights which are given under Part 3. The rights between Article 13, so it's the definition of 12, 13 are the definition. From 14 till 35, it is, if it is under these rights, it is fundamental rights. If it is out of these rights, then it will be a constitutional right. Okay? Now, we will continue with very important topic, Citizenship Amendment Act. Citizenship Amendment Act, it was in news. Most of you must have done your PhD in Citizenship Amendment Act. Some of you must also be having your stand, pro or anti. But in UPSC, you should be only having one stand. That is the stand which the government of India is taking. First thing. Second thing, in UPSC, you have to only go with the facts. In UPSC, even if you have to criticize, you have to criticize on the basis of logic. There is no scope for criticizing on the basis of emotions and on the basis of anything that is subjective. UPSC, stand of Government of India, and second thing, criticism only on the basis of facts and logic. So we are beginning with the Citizenship Amendment Act. It is very, very important. So I want your 100% concentration. So are you ready? In your comment box, just tell me that you are ready for Citizenship Amendment. Because I am expecting a question from this. Only one person is ready. Baki sab tu hai. Now people are ready. Very good. Someone is asking what is my stand on CA. My stand is that you say yes, that we should read CA. That is my stand. And वैसे भी, according to the lockdown, we are not allowed to have any stand because right now we are in a difficult situation. There is only one stand, that is to survive and to have a great future for our nation. So now, Citizenship Amendment Act. Why it was in news? You all must be aware that the Citizenship Amendment Act was passed in the year 2019, which received assent to become an act in December 2019. Now, this act brings changes in the Citizenship Act 1955. So this is an amendment, like an amendment to what? So it is an amendment to Citizenship Act 1955. So if UPSC asks you a question, what are the changes in the Citizenship Amendment, what are the changes in the Citizenship Act 1955? Or if UPSC asks you, what are the provisions of Citizenship Amendment Act 1955? The provisions that we will be discussing now, they are also the provisions of Citizenship Act 1955 because it is an amendment to that act. What's simple, I am telling you, I am simplifying it for you that now when after 3rd of May, when you will go out, definitely some of you will be going to a salon to get a haircut. Now when you are going inside, when you are coming outside, will you be the same person or a different person? If you are the same person, it is only your hair that are getting amended. It means the person will remain the same and the changes are only in that person. That is the same case with this act. The amendments are there in Citizenship Act 1955. The acts have got the new amendments, but that act will remain the same, only with certain new changes. So UPSC must ask the provisions of 1955 Act, they will be the same as they are in the amendment. Okay? Now try to answer this question. Some of you must be champion in this. So answer this question. Consider the following statements regarding citizenship. Statement 1. Provisions of acquisition of citizenship is provided in Article 11. Second, only citizen by birth is eligible to become the President of India. Which of the following statements given above is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both, none. So give me your answer. I am expecting the answer from our friend who was asking my stand on CA. I hope you know the answer rather than only asking for my stand. Now, some of you are saying that answer is A. Some of you are saying answer is D. Now, can you try to understand what type of question UPSC will ask? You may be knowing so many things about CA, but the question is from citizenship that you cannot understand through news channels. Prime time pay, you will not get this information. Okay? So, for UPSC, conceptual clarity is needed. Now, the first statement says that the provision for the acquisition and termination of citizenship is provided under Article 11. But if it is provided under Article 11, so why there is a Citizenship Act 1955? First statement is wrong. The provisions are not provided in the Constitution. The provisions of acquisition and termination are provided in the Citizenship Act 1955. So the first statement is wrong. Article 11 only gives the power to the Parliament to make changes in the provisions of citizenship through an act. So first statement is wrong. Second statement, that only citizen of India by birth can become the President of India. This statement is also wrong. This statement is also wrong because it is not the case in India. Rather, it is the case in the USA, where only citizens by birth are allowed to become the President. In India, the eligibility is citizen of India. Anyone can become the citizen of India, irrespective how they got the citizenship. So the answer to this question is D. So I hope you like this question. So with this, I am also trying to tell you, even if you know that topic, even you think that you are master in that topic, try to answer the questions, because UPSC will ask certain questions that we may not try to identify. It is only through experience that we can understand what UPSC is trying to ask us. Okay? So now give your focus again to the Citizenship Amendment Act. I have given you this question because some of you might be using their WhatsApp to talk to you. We can do it simply. And some of you must also have posted their profile picture with saying pro-CA or anti-CA. So just listen to it carefully and identify what type of question may come from this. Okay? If you want to answer one more question from the amendments only I have made, try to answer this also, so that you can understand what are the nitty-gritties of CA. Try to answer this question. See, I am trying to make this class as interactive as I can. Okay? So please support me. Do not think both of the question puch rahe, because I know it is kind of a one-way communication, but I am trying to make it two-way. Now, first statement is saying provisions are mentioned in Article 11. I'll explain it to you. Do not worry. I will explain Article 11. Do not worry. Just answer this question. Sagar, I am saying I will explain it. Do not worry. Now, okay. I am reading this question and I'll give the answer to this question after discussing CA. Okay, well, first we'll discuss CA, then I'll give the answer to this question. So the question says, consider the following statement regarding CA 2019, amendment to the citizenship. First, it amends the act to provide that Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis and from Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar and Pakistan who entered India on or before December 31st, 2014 will not be treated as illegal migrants. Second statement, the act provides carefully all the above. So let us discuss CA, then we'll go to this question again. Now, what is Citizenship Act? Article 11 of the Constitution provides that the Parliament has the power to make provisions regarding the acquisition and termination of citizenship. Constitution has not given any provision that how you can become a citizen of India, what are the qualifications, what are the conditions, or how your citizenship can be taken. It is not mentioned in the Constitution. It is only mentioned in the Constitution in Article 11 that Parliament will have the power to make the provisions for the acquisition and termination of citizenship. Understood? So this is the Article 11. Under the power, under Article 11, Parliament enacted the Citizenship Act 1955. The Act provided for the various ways through which the citizenship can be acquired. It means how you can become a citizen of India, or it can be terminated. It means how you can lose the citizenship of India. And the Act has provided 5 types. It has provided 5 types through which you can become a citizen of India. Either you are born in India, either you are of Indian descent, either through registration, or naturalization, or by incorporation of a territory into India. These are the 5 ways through which a person can become citizen of India. And these provisions are given under the Citizenship Act 1955 and not under Article 11. This Act also provides the regulation for the registration of overseas citizen of India card holders. The people who are not the citizen of India, rather they are the overseas citizen of India, they have their registration regulated through the Citizenship Act 1955, where they have certain benefits like visa-free entry, they can purchase certain property, they have their education, they can have their education in India, they can earn in India. So these are the provisions provided under Citizenship Act 1955. Now what is the amendment in that Citizenship Act 1955? Now we are discussing the amendment. What was amended? So this act tried to amend that the people who came from 3 countries, Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh. The people from these 3 countries have entered India before 31st December 2014. If they have entered India before 31st December 2014 and they belong to the religion of Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, Jainism, Parsis and Christianity. If they belong to these 6 faiths, then they will not be treated as illegal migrants. Okay? I am repeating it again. The people who have entered India through or who belong to the 3 countries, that is Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, who entered India on or before 31st December 2014 and they follow Hinduism or Sikhism or Buddhism or Jainism or Parsi or Christianity, then they will not be treated as illegal migrants. In order to provide the benefits, the 2 acts will be changed. First will be the Foreigners Act 1946, that will be changed. Second that will be changed is the Passport Act of 1920. Now we need to understand what these acts are all about. So the Foreigners Act provides that anyone who wants to enter India, that person must be carrying a valid passport. That is given under the Passport Act 1920. And if any foreigner wants to come to India and leave India legally, then that person has to follow the regulations under the Foreigners Act 1946. So these are the two acts. Now, the amendment makes the changes in the Passport Act because the illegal migrants might not be having the passports, and also they might not have entered through the legal means, and that is why there is a change in the Foreigners Act 1946. Now, there is also one amendment that those people who will not be considered as illegal migrants, they will be given citizenship of India by naturalization if within the total period of 14 years, they have resided in India for a period of at least 5 years before 31st December 2019. If by 31st December 2019, they have resided in India for a period of not less than 5 years, they will be given citizenship by naturalization. In general, the citizenship by naturalization is only given to those who have resided in India for a period of 11 years in the total of 14. So there is a relaxation in the citizenship amendment. That relaxation is only provided to the people who entered India before 31st December 2014 and have come from 3 countries, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, who follows Hinduism, Sikhism, Jainism, Buddhism, Parsi and Christianity. If they have resided for 5 years, then they can be given citizenship by naturalization. However, any other person from any other country, if they have resided in India for a period of 11 years, in total of 14 years, they can always apply for citizenship under naturalization. So understand this, that this is not a discriminatory act, this is an inclusive act. It means they are not reducing the conditions for everyone, they are just providing the relaxation for some. They are not reducing the condition for everyone. The condition for everyone will remain the same. They are only relaxing the conditions for some. Now, when the people will be given citizenship, after acquiring the citizenship, such people will be deemed to as citizen of India from the date of their entry into India, from that date itself, and any legal proceedings against them in respect of their illegal migration of citizenship, that legal proceedings will be closed. So such legal proceedings will be closed, and that is what will be provided in their citizenship. I hope till now you do not have any doubt. Now, there were some protest in the country and there has to be certain changes in the Citizenship Act. So the Citizenship Act now have certain exceptions also. These exceptions are provided into the areas of 6th schedule, the tribal areas of 6th schedule in the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. If you remember some years back when we were doing the autonomous councils, I discussed 6th schedule, and in that 6th schedule I told you AMTM, again it is repeated, the 6th schedule again becomes important. So in those 4 states, the tribal areas, for example, Karbi Anglong, Bodoland Territorial Area in Assam, then the Garo Hill Council in Meghalaya, then the Chakma district in Mizoram, and Tripura tribal area. In these areas, the Citizenship Act amendment will not be applicable. At the same time, the amendment will not be applicable to the areas where they have inner line permit. Under the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation Act 1973, if under the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation 1973, if certain areas have inner line permit, in those areas this act will not be applicable. The states which have inner line permit are Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Nagaland, and now Manipur. So these are the 4 states which are having inner line permit. So this act will also not be applicable in those states. At the same time, I will also tell you what is inner line permit. This was the first provision of CA. CA has 2 provisions. I have only discussed one provision till now. If you have any doubt in one provision, please post your doubts. It is 1873 only. Why are you getting confused? Why are you posting 1973? And 1983, please, you all do not try to give your input. You just only ask your questions. Those who are considering it as 6 years, the condition is not 6 years. क्योंकि आप खुद ही use your logic. Cutoff date is 31st December 2014 and act was to be made applicable on 31st December 2019. So अगर 6 years होते हैं तो they should wait till 31st December 2020. So in 1 year everyone should have come, and the people who came on 31st December, they will not be eligible. So it is 5 years old. Okay. Inner line permit I am explaining, do not worry. Naturalization. Naturalization, it is different from registration. Registration to have citizenship through, I am explaining, it is 1873. Inner line permit 1873. Okay. Now, I am telling you citizenship provision. Citizenship by birth is clear. You are born in India. Okay. Your parents, either of your parents should be an Indian citizen and other parent should not be an illegal migrant. Then only that child will be given Indian citizenship by birth. Indian citizenship by descent, if either of the parent is an Indian citizen and the birth of the child is registered in a consulate, which within a year of the birth, that child can get citizenship by descent. Citizenship by registration is that citizenship when the person is either a child of Indian citizens and not a citizen, whether a person is a spouse of Indian citizen, whether a person was earlier an Indian citizen but now a OCI card holder, or a person is a person of Indian origin. It means to get citizenship through registration, a person has to have certain links with India. Citizenship through naturalization means anyone on this earth can apply for citizenship through naturalization in India. Whether that person be having a good nature, whether that person is having a knowledge, special knowledge in any of the languages of 8th schedule. If a person in the view of President of India is having certain special characteristics, then that person will be getting Indian citizenship. And fifth is by incorporation of territory. By the incorporation of territory, that person can get Indian citizenship if the central government allows so. It means the central government will provide citizenship automatically through incorporation of territory. People will not be having Indian citizenship. These are the ways through which Indian citizenship is provided. A child whose parents are illegal migrants, that child will not be getting Indian citizenship. Now, so many of you are asking religious persecution. The term religious persecution is used because in a brief, I'm telling you why only these three countries are considering, and why only the certain religions are considered. I'm giving you historical background. Try to understand it without any bias, because sometimes in understanding some issues we have a bias. Now, the three countries that are involved are Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh. Try to understand it. Keep your questions for a hold for a while, and you will get the complete understanding of it. Now, these three countries, they have their linkages. Pakistan and Bangladesh had their linkages with India. Pakistan was formed on the basis of religion, and later on the same country saw its partition in the form of East Pakistan becoming Bangladesh. And in Afghanistan, there was a movement that was formed in the form of Taliban. And that Taliban later on formed the part of Mujahideen. Now, in Pakistan, Jamaat-e-Islami is active. In Bangladesh, after the assassination of Mujibur Rahman under Ziaur Rahman, Jamaat-e-Islami became active in Bangladesh. At the same time, under the Osama bin Laden, in the area, Taliban, which was earlier only fighting for its right in the form of Pashto dominance, that again became religious. Now, these three countries, they were identifying people on the basis of religion, and those people were identified on the basis of their linkages with Muslim and non-Muslim. The non-Muslim people were majorly, because of being in the neighborhood, they were identified having their origin in India. So historically, because of the linkages of the people, if we take Sikhism, if we take Jainism, if we take Buddhism, if we take Hinduism, they are having their origination and their presence in India majorly. So because of the political changes in Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh, because of the political changes, because of the acceptance of the political idea, there was persecution of people on the basis of their religion, and that is why these three countries are only chosen, and from these countries only certain religions are chosen. That does not mean that the country, that is India, is not accepting any other people who were persecuted in other countries. We are just taking small steps. We are taking small steps to provide the best we can do for the people who are persecuted just because of their perceived existence related to India. That is the reason. This is not new. There is a perception that only the present government has tried to bring it. The idea of providing citizenship was in the Liaquat Ali Pact also. So it is having their historical ideas. However, in the present times, there were so many grievances of people, and that is why the issue became political. Is it right or wrong? As a UPSC aspirant, we do not have to deal with it, because firstly, it has been enacted by the government of India, and second, it is under the adjudication of the Honorable Supreme Court. Because of these two reasons, we should only try to understand what is provided in this act, and then we will try to identify whether it should be critically analyzed or not. And if you want to actually critically analyze, I'll give you a point how to logically analyze. See, there is all legal proceedings against them in respect to illegal migration or citizenship will be closed. This is a point that you can identify, that why all the legal proceedings are to be closed. This is to be identified in the logical criticism. That why they are being closed. What if a crime was committed, that is a heinous crime, so that is to be included. So this is how you should logically criticize. Is it clear? Now, if you have any question. Now, another you are asking that why Sri Lanka and Myanmar are not included. Sri Lanka is not included because the issue is not an issue because of the existence of people because of their origin in India. It is the issue that lie in the history of Sri Lanka that the conflict was between the loyalists of the British and anti-British. The Sinhalists were the anti-British and the Tamils were the loyalists of the British. And that grievance later on led to the issue between Tamils and Sinhalese. And that is why they are not included. Now, so many people are asking why Christians are included. Because the Christians that went to these countries, majority of them were convertees. The people, they were not, the people came from the Russian region or the Italian region. These are the converted people from India. They converted because of the missionary activities of British India. And that is why the Christians are included. And why Rohingyas are not included? Because Rohingyas do not trace their existence from India. It is the issue between Myanmar and Bangladesh. And right now we are only trying to become the we are trying to take humanitarian measures perspective. I have given the answer why Christians are included. Okay? Now, try to answer the question. Now give me the answer to this question. और आप लोग हमसे क्वेश्चन तो ऐसे पूछे हमसे क्वेश्चन आंसर मिलने से अमेंडमेंट हो जाएगा दोबारा. If you have any doubt, go to the Ministry of Home Affairs. अपना आराम से ग्रीवियंस रिट्रेस करवाइए. बिकॉज हमसे क्वेश्चन पूछने से ऐसे भी नथिंग विल चेंज. क्रोनोलॉजी समझिए. So the answer to this question is all the above. The answer to this question is all the above because first statement is wrong. Myanmar is not included. Second statement is wrong. It is the citizenship through naturalization, not registration. Third statement is wrong because it will not be applicable to 6 schedule areas. 5th schedule is not involved. And the question is asking which of the following are not correct. So all are not correct. The answer to this question is D, all the above. Now I'll explain what is inner line permit. The inner line permit was established by British government under the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulations 1873. 1873. I'm repeating so that you do not get confused. Because बहुत simple बात है. By 1973, British were not there. Logic से if you remember it. So by 1873, the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulations Act was enacted to safeguard tribals of eastern part of Bengal. And that eastern part of Bengal is now today's northeastern region. So it was provided an inner line permit where the people need to obtain a permit to enter these designated territories. It can be issued for travel purposes solely. The main objective is to provide special protection of the distinct identity and safeguard for the peaceful existence of the indigenous people of the state where it is applicable. So it is provided in the indigenous people's benefit. The system is applicable in Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur and Missouri. So there are 4 states where an inner line permit is applicable. Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, very recently Manipur, okay, Nagaland and Missouri. Also, Meghalaya Assembly has also passed a regulation for implementing inner line permit, which will impose restrictions on the movement of outsiders. Okay, so that is what is inner line permit. Now, the second provision of the Citizenship Amendment Act deals with the OCI regulations. Now, OCI card holders may get their OCI card cancelled. Understand, this is something that UPSC may ask, because we all know about CA, but we do not know there are 2 provisions in CA. So this second provision is very, very important. That there can be the cancellation of registration of OCI card of the OCI card holder if they violate any central law. However, they will be given an opportunity to put their case in front of the central government. Now, understand, OCI card holders are those who were either the people of India, they were either citizens of India or they are people of Indian origin. They apply and then they get a card that is called as OCI card. Now they do not need visa to visit India. They can work in India without any restriction. Restrictions are there, it means they cannot become a government employee. They can purchase property in India except agricultural land. They can take interview of Prime Minister. They can also have the advantage that they do not need to register themselves in the foreign registration office. Example is Akshay Kumar. He is an overseas citizen of India, though he is planning to apply for Indian citizenship. I am not sure whether he got the citizenship till now or not, but he was planning to apply. So, these are overseas citizens of India. These people may get their card cancelled if they violate any central law. Any central law may be even jumping off red light, because Motor Vehicles Act, it is a central act. So if jumping off traffic light is also there, then that person's OCI card can also be cancelled. However, that person will be given an opportunity to present himself or herself in front of the central court. There are other conditions also under which the OCI card can be cancelled. The first condition is that the OCI card was registered through fraud. Second, within the 5 years of registration, the OCI has been sentenced, or the person was sentenced to imprisonment for 2 years or more, or if it becomes necessary in the interest of sovereignty and security of India. Under these conditions, the OCI card can be cancelled. And now, also for violation of any central law. Any, the word is any, and that is why it is important. Now, any doubt in CA or anything? They are not citizens, they cannot vote in election. They are not citizens, they cannot vote in election. I have not asked any question. Why are you answering C? And I am not interpreting it in a different direction. I hope C is only for the option of the question. Yes, any law is too vague, and that is why उससे बाहर निकलिए. Why India is responsible to convert its citizens? Come out of it. Now we are in OCI. CLP status is granted by the central government, governor particularly. Oh, sorry, state government, governor, state governor particularly. Yes, NRIs are different from OCI. NRIs are citizens of India. NRIs are citizens of India. Rather, I'll tell you who NRIs are. You know what the full form of NRI is? The non-resident Indian. What? So अभी आप लोग religious persecution पे अटके हुए हैं. What is proof is not. हमको क्या पता? I do not know. Okay, I may look like our home minister, but I am not the home minister. Okay, so do not ask me all these things which I cannot answer. I can only answer something that is related to UPSC. Okay, so I am telling you what is the difference between NRI and OCI. Non-resident Indians, they are citizens of India. OCI are not citizens of India. Non-resident Indians have all the rights as we have as a citizen of India. They have all the rights. Now, then why do we call them NRI? Because they have an additional right. They have an additional right, that is, if they have their money in the foreign currency account, they do not need to pay tax on that. That is why there has to be a definition for NRI. Now, NRI are those people who live outside India for the purpose of employment. Who live outside India for the purpose of employment for a period of at least 182 days. Someone was trying to give the right answer. They gave 142 days, but it is 182 days. Minimum 182 days. If a person is residing abroad, outside India, that person can be considered as a non-resident Indian. However, only if the period of 182 days is counted in that financial year. It means from 1st April till 31st March. If that person is residing for more than 182 days, then that person will be considered as a NRI. OCI are the people who are OCI card holders. They are not allowed to give vote. And if any person get citizenship under CA, they will be like any other citizen of it. So they will have all the rights. They can also sit for UPSC exam. Okay? So they will be not getting any discrimination. NRIs can contest elections. Yes, they can contest elections. Can NRI? Actually, most of the one question is, can NRI buy agricultural land? Actually, most of the NRIs have agricultural land. Then they go to Canada to do something more. Okay? So I hope we have discussed CA. Yes, some of the parts of the states are in ILP. Not the whole state, parts of the state are in ILP. The tribal regions particularly. Okay. Now we are going to NRC. ठीक है, अब क्रोनोलॉजी समझ रहे हैं? तो पहले हमने CA पढ़ा, अब हम NRC पढ़ रहे हैं. लेकिन we are reading NRC in Assam. We are only reading with the NRC that was conducted in Assam. We are not reading anything else because that NRC or which is to come or which is discussed in the form of NPR, it has not come yet. So we will be discussing it if there is something substantial. Otherwise, we will be discussing it because our Honorable Prime Minister has made it very, very clear that there is nothing in discussion regarding the nationwide NRC, and what the Prime Minister of India has said, the UPSC will not ask any question regarding that is in contradiction to the Prime Minister. So be very, very relaxed regarding the NRC in the country. Now, NRC, National Register of Citizens in Assam. So what it is, why it was in news? So on 31st August, the updated National Register of Citizens was released in Assam after the deadline of Supreme Court. This deadline come after the 2013 conditions that the Supreme Court gave. Then later on, the draft was released, and finally the Final draft was released on 31st August 2019. On the basis of this draft, the 3.3 crores applicants who filed for their citizenship to be included under NRC, amongst them 19 lakh were excluded. So this is important because 19 lakh is a very big number, and that is why UPSC wants you to know about NRC. Now, before continuing for NRC, consider the following statements regarding citizenship. First, Ministry of External Affairs is responsible for acquisition and termination of citizenship. Second, Ministry of Home Affairs is concerned ministry for NRC. Which of the following statements are given above are correct? One only, two only, both, none. What is the answer? Some of you are asking NPR. See, at last we will be having a session for doubts, only doubt session. If then we have certain time, I'll definitely tell you NPR or anything else that you want me to discuss. You just tell me. I'll discuss anything that is from my subject or something that I might discuss. So do not worry about it. You just have trust and patience. And rest, you just leave it on. Most of you are giving option B. Now the answer to this question is D. Both the statements are wrong. Sorry, let me see the question again. The answer is B. The answer to this question is B. And most of you are giving the right answer, 2 only. Now the citizenship, it is the Ministry of Home Affairs only that deals with the acquisition and termination of citizenship. To remember this, just remember it was the Home Minister of India who presented the Citizenship Amendment Bill in the Parliament. So it is under the Home Ministry. And also NRC was conducted under the Registrar General of Citizenship, which comes under the Ministry of Home Affairs. So only 2 is the answer. Now what is NRC? It is a National Register of Citizens, 1951, which was prepared after the census of 1951. However, it was not updated on an all-India basis. In 2014, the Supreme Court ordered the updation of NRC in accordance with the Citizenship Act 1955, Citizenship Rule 2003 in all parts of Assam. Now the question is, why only Assam? When the NRC was all conducted in Assam and not in the whole country, then why only Assam was to be considered? So it was to be considered because the commitments were made by the government of India under the Assam Accord, and that is why NRC was to be conducted. Now the question is, what is Assam Accord? So Assam Accord was an accord signed after the series of protests in Assam, after which Government of India, Government of Assam, All Assam Students Union and All Assam Gan Sangram Parishad, they all came together to sign an accord on 15th August 1985, where they majorly demanded for Assam, All Assam NRC. It was also demanded that there will be a refinery in Assam. They also demanded that there will be an institute in Assam. Now you all know there is a refinery in Assam. You all know that there will be, or there was IIT. So IIT Guwahati is there. IIT Guwahati was established after 1985. If some of you are an alumni of 1985 or IIT Guwahati, you must be aware that your institute was established after 1985 on the basis of Assam Accord. In this, the NRC is important for us, as per which 24th March 1971 was the cutoff date for the purpose of detection and deportation of foreigners. Now you all know why 24th March is important. Give me your answers in the chat section. And then we are coming to the Assam Accord. Why 24th March is 24th March, no one knows. Some of you are writing Rajiv Gandhi, कुछ अपनी ट्रिप में है कुछ लोग, ठीक है? So या हो सकता है आप राजीव गांधी को ब्लेम कर रहे हो for the issue. लेकिन I am asking why 24th March 1971 is the date? Yes, the answer is Bangladesh was formed, or it is called as the liberation date of Bangladesh. So it is important because at that time the people were coming in mass. So they were coming to Assam, and that is why it was considered as the date. So according to Assam Accord, the person who came to Assam after 1st January 1966 shall be given citizenship. Who entered between 1st January? It is not after, it is before 1966. So I'll correct it while sending you the PDF. So the people who came to Assam before 1966, they shall be given citizenship. Those who entered Assam between January 1966 and 24th March 1971 shall be given the citizenship for 10 years. The people who entered Assam before 1966, they will be considered as citizens. The people who entered Assam from 1966 till 1991, they will be given citizenship for 10 years. However, they will not be given the right to vote. The people who came in the interim period, they will be citizen for 10 years without the right to vote. And the people who entered India after 24th March 1971 shall be considered as foreigners, and they will be deported and detected on the Basis Act 1946 and Foreigners Tribunal Order 1964. So this was there regarding the NRC in the Assam Accord. Understand, to facilitate Assam Accord, an amendment was made in Citizenship 1955, where Section 6A was added, which mentions about the special provisions for the citizen of the region residing, the citizens who are residing in Assam. So there were certain special provisions provided to the people of Assam. Now, the people who were excluded after the final draft of NRC, those people will be given 120 days to appeal against the order of the NRC in the foreigner tribunal. Their appeal can only be made after they are issued a rejection certificate by the government. So when they got their rejection certificate, it means they are not considered as the citizens of India. They will against the foreigner tribunal within the 120 days of the issue of that rejection certificate. To speed up the process, 200 new tribunals were established in addition to the already existing foreign tribunals. If the person is not satisfied, the appeal can always be made to the High Court of the state and at the same time to the Supreme Court also for redressal. Now, try to answer this question. What is D voters? First, A option, dead voters. B, defiant voters. C, double voters. D, doubtful voters. Post your answers. Okay, most of you are giving the correct answer. The answer is D, doubtful voter. Some students or some fellow aspirants, they are making one mistake. They are writing the correct answer, but they are writing the wrong option. Some of you have written C, doubtful voters. In the paper, you will get only marks for marking the option. So A, B, C, D are more important than what you know. So please make sure you do not make this mistake of marking the wrong answer in spite of knowing the question. Okay? So if the answer is D or if the answer is doubtful voters, then you should always mark D, not any other option. Okay? Now this is all from my side today. Thank you, and you can ask your doubts if you have any doubt. Yes, it is also called as dubious voters. That is why this is not in the option. I have not given dubious voters in the option. Yes, you can say dubious, but UPSC will give the doubtful voters because in the NRC and in the Registrar General of Citizens, they use the word doubtful voters. 120 days of appeal, it means after the rejection certificate is issued, then the person or the group will be given 120 days for making their appeal in the foreign tribunal. If the foreign tribunal do not accept or do not give a judgment that they are accepting, then the appeal can be made in High Court and then the appeal can be made in the Supreme Court. Now some of you are confused regarding the 10 years of citizenship. The people who entered in between the period of 66 and 71, from that period, yani कि 1985 when the accord was made, their citizenship was for 10 years. That is, they were given only citizenship for till 1995 without the right to vote. However, by 2005, the accord was not, or the NRC was not done. So, by 2013, Supreme Court asked them to complete the NRC. So, those 10-year citizenship criteria was not acceptable when the NRC was issued during this year. And why are you asking question of nationwide NRC? Nationwide NRC is not coming. Do not worry. Nationwide NRC is not coming. Our Honorable Prime Minister has rejected. And also the case is under adjudication. Have faith in Supreme Court and let us see what will happen. I will send the PDF after the class itself. So do not worry. You will get it ASAP. See, doubtful voters means the people who have voter ID but they are not fulfilling the criteria in the NRC, so their voter card will not be acceptable. They were considered as doubtful voters. You are हिंदी 10 साल तक सिटीजनशिप मिलनी थी अगर एनआरसी 1985 को ही कंप्लीट हो जाता, लेकिन इट बिगेन इन 2015, तो वो 10 साल वाला भूल जाओ. ठीक है. Doctrines are not compulsory to be followed. Doctrines are just बहुत simple. Valentine's Day पे is it compulsory to give a gift? Someone who do not have anyone, किसको दोगे? You stand in front of the mirror and give a gift? You do not do that, na? So it means it is not compulsory. Doctrines are not compulsory to be followed. Doctrine of adverse possession. It means if the state is taking your land, it should not be such a case. See, state can take your land only for the development. If the state wants development, that development should not be at the expense of your development. So the state, if they are taking possession of their land, of your land, they should take it only on the conditions where you are given required adequate compensation and you are not at a disadvantage. See, we are right now doing this for the prelims particularly, and prelims we only need to mark the answer. So logical criticism of CA till the time means you have to write. We do not know if the changes are there. So by that time, whatever the changes are there, then only you can criticize or you can support or you can go against the CA to wait for the Supreme Court judgment. Any other doubts that you have? So this is for my side today. Thank you very much. You all stay safe and do not go out. Continue studying. And UPSC has already released a notification that on 3rd of May they will be deciding whether the exam will be postponed or not. So do not have your own misconceptions that exam will now be postponed, because this is UPSC, and UPSC do not always go with the public perception. If the conditions became good even before 10 days of the examination, UPSC has the capacity to conduct the examination. So till now, you should only be concentrating on the exam date as 31st May 2020. Is it clear? You go through with the PDF. In the next class also, if you have any doubt, you all can ask your questions. So do not have any issues like this. There is no source for the questions that I am preparing. These are the questions that I am preparing from my own experiences in UPSC teaching experience. So उसके लिए आपको कोई source नहीं मिलेगी. So this is me who is your source. Okay? Thank you very much. Stay happy, stay safe, continue studying, and I hope you all are reading and you all are comfortable. That's it. Thank you very much. Hope to see you in the next class. Take care.
धीरे धीरे से मेरी